Welcome back to Blender for Blogs. My name is Justin, and this is a video series that we are using Blender for editing our videos for our blogs or our projects or websites or whatever we need it for. We've already looked at how to set up Blender, change its keyboard layout and shortcuts for optimal video editing. We have already imported our original footage along with our external audio from a microphone, and we've lined them up together. So that is where we are at. So the promo video here is what you're seeing is the final end creation, and you can see the full promo video by clicking the link in the description as usual. So let's get started from where we left off. So get rid of that, and here's our original footage, and we have our cut one up here, our scene, which is an exact duplicate of our original. So they have the same exact strips in them. So we're not going to touch the original. We're going to be editing on our cut one. So you can also see here I've closed all of these. We're not really going to need any of these right now. And again, the way to do that is if I click and hold while I open and then just drag my mouse up, that'll open all of them. Same thing if you click and hold while you close, drag down, and that'll close everything. And that's pretty sweet. So I'm actually going to maximize just this window or just this view here. So while my mouse cursor is hovering over here, I'm going to hit Shift Spacebar, and that will maximize that view. To get out of it, you can hit Shift Spacebar again, or if you hit Shift Spacebar, and then if you want to get out of it, you can also click here where it says Back to Previous. But I don't need the timeline or the properties editor right now, so I'm just going to maximize this view. Okay, so actually, let's make sure we're in cut one. Got to make sure I'm on cut one. Okay, and well, what I'm going to do now is get rid of the original audio. So I'll make sure I'm going to hit a couple of times to make sure that nothing is selected. Then I'm going to select the first audio strip and then the second one here by shift clicking. And then I'm going to hit X and then click erase strips. Then I'm going to click this and hit G for grab and then Y to constrain on the Y axis, which is up and down. Just move it up one and then click to set that right in there. And I just want to make sure that we hear everything okay here.
Audience exactly what you're doing on your computer.
Yes, okay, I think that's
Import
good.
an external audio recording into Blender and line it up with the audio from the original footage, just so that
it's a little laggy for some reason right now. I don't know why.
Blender's nasty bugs and problems.
But I think that's good. So our first cut is all about cutting out all the footage we don't want. Now I'm going to show you sort of an unconventional workflow to cutting out footage you don't want. Now I will show some other more conventional workflows after that, and you can kind of choose and decide which one you like better. But the way I'm going to cut now serves several purposes, which I'll get to later on. But we're just going to go ahead and jump in right now, and I'll show you. So I'm going to hit Shift B to box zoom into about here. And then what I'm going to do first is try to find the beginning of my footage. And the way I'm going to do that is look for my claps. Now, the way I can tell where my claps are these spikes here. And I do this intentionally. So if I come over here, I'll show you my claps.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
It's a little bit laggy, but you can tell that, okay, every time I clap, you see this spike. I do this specifically for editing purposes so that I can see in the audio waveform where those claps are. That means that's where I'm going to need to cut. So I know that since all of these are claps here, or all these are little spikes, I know I'm going to find my footage starting after that. And by the way, I'm just playing and pausing with my spacebar. Again, I changed that from the original shortcut, which was Alt-A. So if you want to watch the setup video for that, you can do so. Also, I'm navigating by clicking with my middle mouse button and panning, and then Control middle mouse button zooms in and out just by moving the mouse. Okay, so I talked about that in the last video when we talked about importing our footage and navigating through the sequencer. So I'm going to try to be as helpful as possible, but I'm not going to say the keys that I'm pressing every time. You're just going to have to go back and watch the video and get used to how to navigate around. Okay, so having said that, basically, I know these are the claps, and my footage probably is going to be starting somewhere around here. So I'm going to hit play.
Welcome to Blender for Blogs. My name is Justin, and this is a video series that is
Yeah.
all about how to...
So this is the beginning. Now, sometimes it takes me several takes to get that beginning right. So I see some more claps here, which means I either want to start or end something here, or I need to cut something out. So I'm going to go just after this last clap and see what this says.
And then remove your green screen, add a new background,
Okay, and then I see one over here. I'm going to just see what's right after that.
or maybe you're teaching your audience something.
Okay, so that sounds, it looks like that this is the true beginning. This is where I start, and you can see a long audio waveform here where I'm talking without any claps. So, or snaps, sometimes I snap. But those spikes is what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect everything. Make sure you press A to deselect everything. And then I can either box select or I can select and then shift select. So it's really up to you. A to deselect, B, box select. Okay. And here, because I know I'm going to cut everything before this point, I want my mouse cursor to be on this side of the timeline cursor before I hit K. So I'm going to hit K to cut, and that makes a cut. And because my mouse cursor was over here, these two strips remain selected. And I want that because the next thing I'm going to do is hit H to hide them. Then I'm going to hit G to grab them and Y to constrain them on the Y-axis and move them up 2 channels, just like that. So if I zoom out, that's what it looks like. And basically, I'm just going to continue to do that throughout the entire footage. So let's keep going.
Welcome to Blender for Blogs. My name is Justin, and this is a video series that is all about how to use Blender to create amazing looking videos for your project, website, or blog. I will use Blender along with other completely open source software, meaning everything is 100% free. In this series, you will learn how to take your original footage like this, cut out everything that you don't want like this.
Okay, so I know I'm going to cut here because I just said I was going to cut everything after what I was saying. So select these, and now because I'm keeping this, I don't want this highlighted, but I want this highlighted. So I'm going to have my mouse cursor on this side of the timeline cursor. So I'm going to hit K, and now these are still selected. Now I'm not going to move them yet because this is just the first cut. So we're going to find out where we want to continue our footage. So here's a clap here.
And then remove your green screen, add a new background, and then
Okay, and there's a little bit of a space here. I'm going to see what this is right here.
Or maybe you're teaching your audience something.
So the green screen thing, I think, is where I want to come back in. So again, I'm cutting this part out here. So hover over here, K, H to hide, G, Y, move up, and click to drop. All right, and now I'm going to save as. So I'm going to do Control Shift S. And I probably should have done this earlier, but what I'm going to do is save this as B4B underscore demo underscore 0103. And the easy way, again, to do that is either by coming up here and clicking plus, or just hitting the plus key on my numpad. And that bumps that number up to 103. Then I'm going to hit enter. And now we have 103. And I constantly do that. So I'll go a couple cuts and then I'll save another iteration. And I'll go a couple more cuts and I'll save another iteration. And that is because of my principle of never trust electronics or software, for that matter, to keep your files safe. If for some reason Blender crashes and 0103 gets corrupted, I can go back to 102 and start from there. In fact, since I didn't save it in the beginning, I'm going to save this again as another iteration. So now we're working with 104, and we only have to, if for some reason this gets corrupted, we only have to go back to this point at 0103 and then start saving it again, if that makes any sense. So you will be seeing me do that very often. All right, so let's continue here.
And then remove your green screen, add a new background, and then reposition yourself in order to show us that lovely, lovely view. that beautiful, peaceful, relaxing view. Ah.
Okay, so I know I want music here, and I want to cut it off pretty short there before I turn around. So I'm just going to kind of go to the point where I'm just turning around, and then I'm going to use my arrow keys just for a little bit more accuracy. Okay, so I start to close my eyes there. I want to cut it before my eyes close. So I'm going to select these. Remember, I'm keeping this one, so I want to cut this over here and keep this selected. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, if I accidentally have it over here, these will be selected. And then all you do is just hit A to unselect, and then B for box select for those. Okay, let's see. Where do I want to come back in? So,
Or maybe you're teaching your audience something that's really important and you
okay,
really
so I
want.
see another cut here. I want to see what this is right after the cut.
Or maybe you're teaching your audience something really important and want the
Okay, so
ability
see
to.
how these are the same exact thing? I'm saying the same thing.
Or maybe you're
Let's see
teaching
what's
your
happening
audience
here.
something that's really important and you really want the ability to demonstrate the finer points of your teaching points. I've just blah, blah, blah.
So I kind of messed up there, or at least
Or maybe
wanted
you're
to
teaching
start
your
over.
audience something really important and want the ability to really hone in and
See
demonstrate
what
on
happens
all of your
here.
teaching points. So in this series, you will also learn how to add words and pictures in order to do just that. And of course, you're probably going to want blah, 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 blah.
So yeah, so sometimes I forget what I'm saying, or sometimes I just stumble over my words. I shouldn't say sometimes, a lot of times. So I will do or a section over and over and over again. Well, instead of stopping and hitting pause on my camera and then creating multiple videos for just one single thing, I just do the claps, and so that's where I can see, okay, I've clapped there, clapped there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to keep coming down here until I get to the last iteration of whatever it is that I'm saying. So we're talking about teaching points here, and
Or maybe you're teaching your audience something really important.
okay, that's the same thing. See if I come down here.
You'll also learn how to make your own motion. And you'll also learn how to make.
Okay, so it looks like the teaching points ends here. I just want to see what this
Or
is.
fly in.
Okay, yeah. So right here, and you can see there's a clap here, and then you have a long stretch of me talking, which means that this is probably the one that I smoothed out the most.
Or maybe you're teaching.
So I'm
Maybe
just
you're
going to listen
teaching
to
your
that.
audience something really important and want the ability to really hone in and demonstrate all of your teaching points. So in this series, you'll learn how to add words or pictures in order to do just that. And of course, you'll probably want to animate them by making them fly out, or fly in, or creating bulleted lists of all your important things, or other transitions like wiping in or wiping out.
Yep, so that's the one that I want. And I know that right at wipeout, I want to do a little funny little wipeout video. And so I'm going to cut that right after I say wipeout. And oh, actually, I forgot to cut out the stuff before that. So let's see. We'll just make a cut here so I don't forget. And then I think it was right here.
Or maybe you're.
Yeah. So right before that, we're gonna cut that. H to hide, G, Y to grab and move it up, and then click to drop it. I'm gonna save it. Save, and then remember click. If you just hit S and then or Control S and move your mouse away, it doesn't save anything. You have to hit Control S and then click or hit enter.
Or maybe you're teaching your audience.
Okay, so I know I want to keep all of that. What's this?
You'll also learn how to make your own motion graphic title.
Okay, so motion graphic title looks like I phased out here. Yep, so I'm probably going to be doing that over again.
And you'll also learn how to make. And you'll also learn how to make your own motion graphic title. And who knows, somewhere along the line. And You'll also learn how to make your own motion graphic title.
Okay, so see how there's several iterations here, me saying the same thing here, and then you see these little snaps or claps. That means that I don't actually have to, if I know that that's what's happening, I don't have to listen through the whole thing. So I just go to the
You'll
next
also
one.
learn how to make your own motion graphic.
It's talking about motion graphics. So here's a clap. I'm going to see what this says.
And you'll also learn how to make your own motion graphic
Okay, so he's talking about motion graphic. I'm talking about motion graphics again here. And here's a clap here. I'm just going to go further, see if I'm still talking about it here.
And you'll also learn how to make your own motion
So
graphic title.
yeah, so sometimes I can go through like 15, 20, 30 different restarts of a certain section. So this one, it looks like it took me a long time to get exactly what I wanted down, partly because I'm such a perfectionist, but but I just also lose my train of thought a lot too. But here, it looks like there's not a lot of claps here. We're just gonna go past this clap just to see what this one's saying.
Or maybe you just want to go all out instruction.
Okay, so it's not talking about the motion graphics anymore. So
and you'll also learn how to make your own motion graphic title.
there we go. So we're going to start here because this looks like where my best take of the motion graphics was. So do this, and is that from all the way up here?
You'll also learn how to make your own motion graphic
Yes,
title.
it was.
And you'll also learn how to make your own motion graphic.
Okay. So yeah. So right here, K for cut, H for hide, G for grab, Y to constrain, move it up, and click to let go. And basically that is it. This is the unconventional way, but there are reasons, and I will show you those reasons after we get done. But basically, we're just going to keep going. Going to keep doing this throughout the rest of the footage.
And you'll also learn how to make your own motion graphic title, just like the one I started with at the beginning of this video. And who knows, somewhere along the line you might want to show some awesome footage of your summer vacation. So you'll learn how to cut away to another video like this, and then shrink it down into a picture-in-picture like this, in case you want to show two things at once. Or maybe you just want to go all out instruction and show your audience exactly what
Okay, so I remember that this was talking about instruction here. So I believe that I'm going to make a cut here. But if let's just say you're not sure that you have more, restarts or iterations of this thing, but you think that there might. So you don't know if you're going to make a cut here. So what you can do, I'm going to do Shift Spacebar to get out of that. And then I'm going to come down here to, this is the current frame. If I hover over this with my mouse and do Control C, I've just copied that number. Now this slider moves the cursor around. So if I click and drag the slider, it moves the cursor back and forth. I can also just click in there and type. Let's say I want 10,000. That's the frame that I want, 10,000. And it will jump right over to that 10,000. And that's any of these sliders here. So, but this one is the cursor slider. So now that, since I've already hit Control C for copy, I can actually hit Control V to paste it right back in there. And that's with any of them. I can paste Control V right there to paste that number in this field. And I can paste that in any of these fields, really. And that's a really useful feature about Blender. But I'm just going to click there, set that back to 1 because I don't need that there. But the reason you might want to copy this, and I'm just going to do it again, is because I don't know if I want to make a cut there. But if I decide that I do, then I'll just paste that back in there so I know exactly where I'm going to make my cut. So let's go here in the future, in the further down the strips.
Or maybe you just want to go all out instruction.
So talking about instruction, here's another clap. Let's see what this says.
Or maybe you just want to go all out instruction.
Okay, keep going.
Or maybe you just want to go all out instruction.
Okay, keep going.
Or maybe you just want to go all out instruction and show you.
This is a long one. Okay.
What I said was,
okay. So I think that's the end there.
What I said was,
okay, got another one going, but let's see.
Like Blender.
Okay, so I think it's right here.
Or maybe you just want to go all out instruction.
All out instruction right here. Okay. And so I'm just going to select these and then hit K for cut. Now, since I did decide that I wanted to cut that here, that means I'm going to have to go back to my original cut over here, or my original place that I wanted to cut over here. So I'm going to come back down here, Control V as in Victor for pasting that in there. And that is where I wanted to cut before. So I'm going to hit K, H to hide, G, Y to grab, and move that up, if that makes sense. Okay, continuing on. Oh, let's save this and Control Shift S to save as, plus enter. And we have 0105.
Or maybe you just want to go all out instruction and show your audience exactly what you're doing on your computer step by step. So for this, you'll learn how to record your computer screen and then add it into Blender. And this is really handy for things like PowerPoint presentations, Google searches, or making all kinds of tutorials for your favorite software programs. Like Blender,
Okay, so I'm going to cut it right before I laugh here. So I'm going to keep this, so cursor over here. Okay. All right, so
what I said was, did I make you check your sound?
Okay, we're talking about the sound now. So
what I said was
blah, blah, blah.
Ha, just kidding. What I said was, what's all this going to look like?
Okay, so I think that's
so what's all this going to look like? Just kidding.
Okay, so I'm going to cut it here. And zoom out a little bit. K, G, Y, oh, and then H to hide that. Okay. So now I just noticed something that I actually don't want to start right here.
What I said was.
So let's say you've done this. Let's say you've cut something and you realize, oh gosh, no, I need to either cut it further down over here or I need to cut it sooner over here. And in this case, I want to cut it sooner because I am pretending to talk here. And then we talk about sound over here. Now, you could just cut and then drag those down, and then that would be good. You can unhide them. But a better way, a cleaner way, is to, again, make sure everything is deselected and select your handlebar, and then shift select the rest of these handlebars. Now, I want to show you something real quick here. There's a difference between selecting the strip and then selecting the handlebar. Even though the strips are highlighted just the same when you select the handlebar, selecting the strips by themselves without the handlebars does something different. So if I zoom out, let's go over to here. So if I just select these two and hit G, I can move them around like this. I can move them up and down, side to side. Okay, if I select a handlebar, I can hit G and then I can move them left to right, but I can't move them up and down. So I'm just right clicking to cancel that. So if I start an action, right click to cancel that, or left click, it's just the opposite of your select. So if you have a left click select, it's going to be right click to cancel that. But this is something to keep in mind because sometimes you'll be like over here, you won't realize that your handlebars are selected and you're going to say, okay, G, Y, and nothing's happening. You can't move that up. You're like, why can't I move that up? I don't know. Okay, let's say G, Y. I can't move that up. No. Well, that's because if you zoom out, oh, actually, these two are selected, the handlebars, and so you have to just deselect them and then make sure none of the handlebars are selected. When you select the strips, G, Y, okay, now we can move it. Okay, right click to cancel that. Okay, so that's just a little bit of an introduction on the selecting of those handlebars. I will go into more detail about the mechanics of the strips and how they play a role in sliding and stuff like that. But for now, I'm going to hit page up because page up is going to snap that timeline cursor right up against that cut. So make sure everything is deselected. Select my handlebar, shift, select the rest of the handlebars. Now, if I hit G, I can slide these. And basically what you're seeing here is the same exact thing on the top and on the bottom. I'm going to right click to cancel that and just kind of show you what I mean. So if I just select the top two, hit G and move this over, you see you have these two are actually the same exact thing. These are duplicates of each other. And again, I'll get into that in a later tutorial. But for now, I just want you to know that you can actually slide the handlebars, and you're not moving the whole strip. You're just trimming the size of the strips or the length of the strips. So with these two selected still, I'm going to hit Shift S, and that snaps those right up against that timeline cursor. So from here, what I'm going to do is Shift select these as well, and hit G, and then just drag that over here to right after that little sound, and then click to let go. And I'm going to see where I'm at here. So I'm just going to kind of drag on my timeline to right before I start talking, or pretending to talk, basically. So right there, I want all of these snapped right there. So just Shift S, and it snaps that cut right there. Okay, save, and another iteration. Okay, moving on.
Ha, just kidding. What I said was, did I make you check your sound? Be honest, you checked your sound, didn't you? We can't forget about sound, so you'll learn how to import an external audio recording into Blender and line it up with the audio from the original footage, just so that you can have better quality audio. So what's all this going to look like? Well, in order to teach you all of this, I'm actually going to show you how to...
Frozen. Okay, so I know I'm going to probably cut right there. So cut. And
So what's all this going to look like?
so what's all this going to look like?
So what's all this going to look like?
All right, we're going to keep going until we find the last.
And as you follow along, you're going to become really familiar with Blender's video sequence editor. And the very best techniques.
What's all the way over here? I'm just curious.
So what's all this going to look like?
Okay, so this is pretty long too. Even though I kept going in some areas, I had a suspicion that I started over again.
So what's all this going to look like? Well, in order to teach you all of this, I'm actually going to show you step by step how to create this very video.
So there's a long chunk of me talking. That's probably the right one.
Also become familiar with how to work around.
Okay, so right here, I want to make that cut. And then move it up. Oh, see, I can't move anything. I can't move anything up or down because I probably have the handlebars selected. So I'm going to right click to cancel that. And yep, there we go. Those handlebars are selected. So A to deselect, box select, and now I can move them up. All right, and the reason why we have a cut here is because that was our original footage. So we had two videos. This is the first video, this is the second video. And the reason we don't have a cut here is because this was our external audio mic. We only had one file for that. So I'm going to hit page up to jump to that one, and then select here, hit cut. And there we go. So just so that matches. All right, let's finish
teach you all of this. I'm actually going to show you step by step how to create this very video that you're watching right now. And as you follow along, you're going to become really familiar with Blender's Video Sequence Editor, or VSE for short. You will learn the best techniques for quickly editing video and audio strips in Blender, cutting them, moving them, snapping them, combining, manipulating them with pinpoint accuracy to the exact frame and timing that you choose. You're also going to become familiar with how to work around some of Blender's nasty bugs and problems that have the potential to get in the way and slow you down sometimes. But we have workarounds, so we're going to go over that. But I'm excited, and I hope you're excited too. So strap on your boots because we're going to bootstrap this Blender brother into some video editing goodness.
Okay, so I know that this isn't the end because obviously there's a lot of stuff over here. So let's go to the next one and see what this is. And I apologize, I'm doing a lot of other things on my computer. I'm actually rendering a video right now as I'm recording it. Probably not the best idea, but it's a little bit laggy even at 25% over here, but you kind of can still see the gist of what I'm doing.
You will also become familiar with how to work around. You will also become familiar. You'll also become familiar with how to work around some of Blender's nasty bugs.
Okay, talking about Blender bugs. So let's go over here.
And as you're going along, you'll notice some of Blender's nasty bugs and problems.
Okay, keep going.
You will also become familiar with how to work around some of Blender's
Okay, so I think it's actually all the way back down here.
You will also become familiar with how to work around some of Blender's nasty bugs and
Yeah,
problems.
so I think that's the last one. So I'm going to cut that there. Let's see, deselect all, box select those. Get that in the center here. Okay, that's fine. Cut that. And then
that you choose. You're also going to become familiar with how to work around some of Blender's nasty bugs.
Okay, so right here. Cut, hide, and move. All right. And last part here.
Well, anyway, I hope you're excited. I'm really excited too. So strap on your boots because we're going to bootstrap this Blender brother into some video editing goodness. I sure hope that's good.
Yeah.
I'm so weird.
Yes, you are. Okay, so yeah, because this can take a long time, especially if you're doing the same thing over and over again. If you mess up your words and you have to restart like 15 different times, it gets a little tiring. So just be aware of that. That we all go through that. Okay, so let's go here. Try to cut this right before I collapse. Okay, I'm still smiling there. Okay, right before I close my eyes, we're gonna go there. I'm just tweaking, going from frame to frame with my keyboard arrows. So just arrow to the left, arrow to the right, right before I close my eyes. Okay, sounds like a song. Right before I close my eyes. Okay. Box select K, H, G, Y, and move that up. Save this, save as, plus enter. Ooh, there we go. And then we're gonna home, just zoom in here, and just control middle mouse button again. All right, now we have our first cut completed. Woohoo! I'm going to make a copy here first, full copy, and we're gonna name this cut 2. I'm actually gonna get rid of those zeros because we don't need them. We're not going to make more than 10. Hopefully we're not going to make more than 2 or 3. Okay, so as you can see, we have all of the stuff that we don't want right up here at the top. And all the stuff we do want, it's still active at the bottom here. So these are hidden and these are still unhidden. And one of the reasons I do it like this, especially for blog videos, is because I like to take some of the outtakes. Some of the outtakes that I do are a little crazy and funny, and people kind of get a chuckle out of them. So I save them and I put them at the very end of the video. And I think people appreciate it too. So here I know exactly where my outtakes I will be able to find. So I'm not guessing, oh gosh, where was this again? And I have to go through my whole footage again. Even though the whole footage is nothing has changed time. So if I go back to my original, at this time, I'm saying,
and show your audience exactly what you're doing.
Show your audience exactly what you're doing. 6:55, frame 99:55. If I go to my cut again, and we go, I think it was 99:55. Oh, and it's hidden, but if I unhide that by double H
on your computer, step by step.
Show people exactly what you're doing on your computer, step by step. It's exactly in time with the uncut footage of the original, which is very useful if you need to find something. So I know that this is part of my footage that I'm not going to be using. And another important reason why I cut like this is because if I deselect all of them, then I can just press B for box select all the ones that I don't want, make sure we're in cut 2, not in cut 1, and then hit X and erase the strips. Now I've gotten rid of everything that I don't want for my second cut. And this is so much more efficient than if I didn't move them up, I'd have to click, 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 click. And then after clicking like 15 times and selecting everything meticulously, then hit X and delete. I'd rather delete things in just one big swoop like that. Okay, so this is our first cut. We have completed our first cut, and we are now ready for our second cut. So I will see you in the next video for our second cut.